Pikachu! What's up, guys? Welcome back to the HeroesHype Amateur Series Beta Finals. We have made it to the semifinals, Anna.
I'm so excited, Gilly. We have the PLEYZ versus the Kappa Wolves after the Kappa Wolves managed to get past Envy last match. It was 2-0, Gilly.
It was 2-0. We saw Envy really dominant in the round of 16 that they played. And then going on, facing a tougher opponent in Kappa Wolves, having a pretty close first game, but making a couple mistakes. And then, of course, Kappa Wolves, reading Reddit even, was able to deal with the strat that the player, who was I've forgotten their name.
Envy.
Envy Gaming, thank you. I've already moved on. I'm already ready for the next one.
I know.
But now Kappa Wolves have a whole different bear to deal with. They're going to be up against the PLEYZ, and we should have the draft pretty soon for that.
Yeah, it looks like the players are getting ready. It'll be interesting to see what we see from Kappa Wolves. What we saw against Envy was pretty standard. I mean, they just drafted strong teams that were not overly conservative or overly aggressive. So I'm assuming we'll probably see that at least here in the first game. Both teams probably want to feel each other out. Do you expect anything weird from these teams, Gilly?
No, I think that... Well, I don't know, because we've got a best of 3 here. So there's definitely the possibility that both teams will just want to play pretty standard and try to feel each other out, see what their strengths are in that regard. So that's definitely something that could happen. Or we could see one of them pull out kind of a crazy strat that they might have developed to see if it will work to get them an easy first game in the best of 3.
Yeah, that could be cool. I'm always really down for creative strategies. I loved seeing what Envy had. What would we call that? Backdoor strat? Global mobility strat? I don't know. Give it a cool name, chat. You guys are good at that kind of thing. But I love seeing that kind of play and trying new things. It didn't really work out for Envy. Maybe execution, maybe just Kappa Wolves being strong and knowing what was coming. Who knows? I love seeing creativity, but I also love seeing solid gameplay. And looks like we are getting into the draft now. So let's see what they come up with.
All right, well, I'm switching over now. It looks like Kappa Wolves. Bah! They have the first pick, first banner, choosing to ban Jaina here. So interesting. A lot of times when you see a spellcaster get banned, it's Kael'thas now, but instead banning the Jaina on Sky Temple. And now the PLEYZ have a ban of their own. And I'm wondering if they are saying, what I'm kind of wondering here is if Kappa Wolves are saying, hey, if you don't ban the Lost Vikings, we have first pick, and we've shown we know how to play them.
Absolutely. And the thing is, too, Kael'thas can be just as devastating in terms of area as Jaina can. So they're really leaving themselves a lot of cool options here that the PLEYZ have to choose kind of the lesser of two evils. They are opting to ban Lost Vikings. I think that's a good, solid choice. So now Kappa Wolves gets to choose who they want first in this game. Do you have any predictions? Because I think it's going to be Kael'thas.
I think Kael'thas is a great suggestion here. We could also see, I bet we'll see Sylvanas very early on from one of them, and there we go. Kappa Wolves have got Kael'thas. So I kind of like the Jaina ban here because it forced the PLEYZ, because Kappa Wolves had first pick, it forced the PLEYZ to ban out the Lost Vikings, and that enabled Kappa Wolves to get the only big spellcaster here, as Jaina is banned and they were able to grab him. But can they keep him alive? As the PLEYZ have gone ahead and grabbed Sylvanas and a Nubarak.
Definitely a solid combo. We've seen Nubarak be a major player in almost every game so far this week. So really not a surprise to see him showing his face this early. I think you're right, though. Kappa Wolves now has to build a composition that is going to be able to keep Kael'thas alive. We'll probably see some more damage from them as well, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them prioritizing... Oh, there's that damage. So Vala and Kael'thas are #1 priorities for Kappa Wolves. We saw Envy prioritizing their supports in every single game. No other team has been doing that, so didn't expect that from the Kappa Wolves. But do you think we'll see a support or a tank at this next pick, Gilly?
I think so, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kappa Wolves grab Brightwing. We know Akaface really likes her, and she's very strong. She's also really great on this map. This map is huge, and so having her phase shift ability is even more impressive than even on some of the other ones. But they are going to go ahead and go for tank first. They've grabbed Muradin, and I think that's a really strong choice. We've seen a ton more of Muradin and Nubarak lately, as they were the tanks who were really buffed in the last patch.
And we've seen in previous games how Muradin can really soak up tons of damage and then also escape on top of that. So he can be really annoying to play against. An Uberak can too, but in a totally different way that requires a little bit more help because he's not quite as tanky in terms of absorbing damage as Muradin is. But that's probably why we see an Uther pick coming out from the PLEYZ. Uther, somebody who can do a great job at healing, also has the potential for Divine Shield, but is also tanky in his own right.
Yeah, for sure. He is one of the tankiest supports by far. He even can pick up things like block, although we don't often see that. But I do every once in a while see people trying to make the Uther tank work, and oh, look who we've got from the PLEYZ.
Ooh.
Got a Tyrael. I love the Tyrael Anubarak combo. And now with Tyrael, Anubarak, and Uther, the PLEYZ are so tanky. But for now, all they have is Sylvanas as their damage dealing, really. I mean, Anubarak and Tyrael do great damage, but they are still in the warrior class. So we should see some sort of damage dealer come out for them with the last pick. But now Kappa Wolves have their last two. We're going to be getting a support here and then something else up their sleeves.
It is really interesting now that we have more damage dealing heroes. I mean, adding Kael'thas to the mix actually kind of changed the draft a little bit because there are more options for who your damage dealer is going to be. So Kappa Wolves and PLEYZ, in fact, are not in this position where they have to snap up the really prominent damage dealers early on because they have options of what to do with that. The PLEYZ could use numerous other heroes to fill that last spot and fill out their damage ability. Kappa Wolves also now opting for Brightwing, so good call there, Gilly. I think that's a smart pick. And what will they do with this last pick? They have a support, they have a tank, they have two damage dealers. They have room for something like a specialist, they have room for more damage if they want to be super aggressive. They could also do that kind of half support thing that we see a lot of teams doing where they get a little bit of damage from an assassin type support.
Well, if they wanted to do a dual promote like we were seeing in the last few games, they could get that Tassadar. He also has Oracle, so that's going to help them a lot with vision as well. Maybe they'll go for Zagara and get a really good push going as well. Illidan is still even up, and we've seen Kappa Wolves use him pretty well, but that would mean that they've got Illidan, Vala, and Kael'thas relying on the Brightwing to keep them alive, and only just Muradin to be able to zone, though he has quite the zones. And an important note here is if they did get Illidan, they're the ones who have Brightwing and Muradin. A lot of times, those are the main heroes that we'll see teams try to pick up to deal with an Illidan. But the PLEYZ do have Uther available for a Divine Shield, and they still do have a few options if Kappa Wolves were able to do that. I feel like they put the name like that on purpose just to mess with us a little bit.
Oh, they definitely did. You know they love that. Oh, so Kappa Wolves going with Zeratul. So that's going to open up some interesting possibilities here, Gilly. What do you think they're going to use him for?
Well, what I'm hoping for is a Void Prison into maybe either Strafe or Reign of Vengeance with a Phoenix, and then Muradin right in the middle of that to stun people, keep them in there. Maybe even Brightwing Emerald winding them so that they keep getting pushed back if she can get around that back of them. I think she'll probably take Blink Heal just because they're definitely going to be looking for some sustain there, but that does definitely open up some cool stuff. I've even seen, I saw a couple of times in the Enter the Storm qualifiers, Zeratul going for an auto attack build and even picking up Shadow Assault to just decimate the back line. I don't think that's going to be the case here though, because there's quite a tanky presence on the PLEYZ who have decided to choose Illidan as their final pick.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I was looking at this composition thinking that it was built for an Illidan. And I think maybe the time that they took to decide was based on, like you said, seeing that the Kappa Wolves knew that was potentially coming. Kappa Wolves is prepared to deal with an Illidan, but I think the play is still feeling like their composition is strongest with Illidan. They were prepared, in fact, so they are going to still pick him up. And these are going to be some great teams playing specifically on Sky Temple. We haven't talked much about how Sky Temple is going to impact these teams, but it's certainly a major factor in why these teams picked the way they did, Gilly.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You have to wonder like types of fights you'll be getting into, knowing that you're going to have to fight around a point. so a specific area in those temples, and so having things that are really good at zoning, like Kael'thas's Phoenix ability, so good at that. But also, if you've got Metamorphosis, that can really just decimate a backline if they were able to, if they got a little bit of spread out in the fight around the temple. So a lot of potential there. I do think it's risky for the PLEYZ to go ahead and pick up that Illidan. It does seem like they were maybe showing that early on with that Uther, whether maybe they wanted to get either a Kerrigan or an Illidan to throw that Divine Shield on. But we've seen teams have such good success in using Muradin and Brightwing to counter the Illidan. And Kappa Wolves have both of those things on their team.
Yeah, and they didn't sacrifice much to get them either. I mean, they have these super solid damage dealers. Even if we weren't looking at trying to counter an Illidan, this team is already solid in its own right. And the fact that they had so much flexibility when they picked up Zeratul, they could have picked up any number of heroes that would have fleshed out that team really well. They weren't forced into anything. So letting Kappa Wolves have their way with the draft, but the PLEYZ also getting exactly what they were looking for, makes a really interesting mix.
Yeah, they've got 4 melee there between Anubarak, Uther, Tyrael, and Illidan, and then just poor Sylvanas hanging out like, you guys go ahead, I'm just gonna throw some arrows out when I can. It's like very interesting, but there are some good backline people on Kappa Wolves that the PLEYZ can try to really engage on into, and they can do that if they pick up Judgment from the Tyrael and the Burrow Charge, of course, from Anubarak. They could go right on in there, Illidan can follow right behind, and then Sylvanas will bring up the rear, throwing down the Wailing Arrow when needed.
Yeah, and you know, it's worth mentioning, if you're just joining us, where we are in this tournament. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gailey, but this is our first semifinal match that we are casting?
Yes, we have 4 teams left in the game right now, and 2 of them are right here. We've got Kappa Wolves in the PLEYZ. The other 2 are still being decided, the other side of the bracket, going a little bit more slowly, but we are going to wait and play that semifinal match on Wednesday. We'll have that as well as the match for 3rd place, and then the finals, which will be a best of 5.
So if a team wins here, that would put them in the money, at least.
Yes, whichever team wins here will at least get some money as 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. Well, no. Wait, yes, as 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place will get the prize.
Right.
Wait, no. You have a 3rd place match. So whichever team...
10 seconds.
Yes, I'm confused with math. Yes, it's fine. Yes, whoever wins here was guaranteed money. Let's just introduce these teams. As I've been thrown for a loop, we've got Kappa Wolves in the blue with Michael Udall now joining us, playing Zeratul, Hawkfu on the Muradin. Playing Kael'thas is Fam. Brightwing will be played by Akaface, and Big Impact on the Vala.
And for the PLEYZ, Yell Cow will be playing Tyrael, not being able to be the Yelling Cow ETC this time, unfortunately, for name consistency. Pirate Rum will take Illidan, Evan Drinde will be playing Sylvanas, Zeus will be on Anubarak, and Lex Uther will happily be playing Uther.
Looks like the PLEYZ being pretty passive here right at the beginning, staying behind the gates. You know that there's a Zeratul up against them and don't really want to get caught, especially as they also have Muradin who could stun them, and that would be a lot of damage right off the bat since they also have that Vala and Kael'thas there too. But actually it's Kael'thas who gets stunned first, and instantly we see a Burrow Charge from Zeus followed by an Impale. Fam, very, very low, is going to have to get back here, hit the well, try to heal up a little bit before coming back in.
There is so much room on this map. It's very different than a lot of the maps we've been playing so far tonight, where you can see heroes moving easily back and forth between lanes. That's not going to be the case here, as the surface area of this map is far greater. So you're going to see commitment to areas a little bit more.
Actually, we see Michael Udall being a laner here. Not often something we see from Zeratul. He also picked up Rapid Displacement, so is going to be able to blink far more often. And once you get Wormhole, there's going to be some really fun blinks coming in from Zeratul, so we'll have to watch out for that. Brightwing also didn't get bribed, chose to get Scouting Drone here, making sure that he will be able to get away very easily. We have the first temple spawning, and for now, teams are feeling okay with trading.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the middle versus top temples, Gilly.
Well, actually, that's been changed a little bit. So before, getting the mid would mean that you were able to get a little bit more experience because the tower was up here versus the well, which is up here, but they actually moved the well in the last patch. So now the well dies before the tower, and so both of them give equal amounts of experience, as the first temple phase is always the mid and top.
And that's why you'll see these teams even more content to trade than in the past. You may have seen more skirmishes over that middle temple, as it may have been a little more valuable, but in this case, both are even. So we see that equal trade, but there's a lot of damage being done to this top lane on behalf of the PLEYZ, Gilly.
Yeah, both teams were trying to go in on the forts that the temples were attacking. Neither have been able to secure them yet, though, but it does look like the Kappa Wolves one on top is a bit lower than this one here on mid on the side of the PLEYZ.
Yeah, I like the trading we're seeing here. This is what we wanted, a really nice balanced match. And both teams staying committed to aggression, but also being very careful. We see 0 kills for either team at this point. So neither one being willing to give up that little bit of experience. Both teams being at level 6 right now, just barely. Gilly, do we see anything interesting in terms of talent so far in the game?
Well, in this game, Vala did go ahead and choose to go with the multi-shot build, so favoring more of an area of an effect damage. But what's interesting there is because she's facing a team with Tyrael, Anubarak, and the Uther, I figured we might go ahead and see the Rancor build, which is a little more auto-attack focused, but does more single target damage overall. But still gonna go for that multi-shot build. Both teams have taken out the forts, so there's now 1 fort down on each side. Just slight lead and experience for Kappa Wolves at this point. Soon we're going to be seeing the bottom temple spawn though, and at that point it could be a change in experience for sure.
Yeah, we're seeing the value of the tankiness. Lex Uther actually got caught out with Fam as he moved from lane to lane, but Uther, again, being a tankier support than others in general, so the tankiness is really helping out the PLEYZ. And again, like you said, both teams being very careful. We see them engaging around the boss here in the bottom, which can be very dangerous if they manage to aggro him this early in the game.
Yeah, Kappa Wolves were trying to steal the Siege Giants, but weren't able to do so. And so now these Siege Giants are going to be pushing on bot. While Kappa Wolves are trying to go in here, there's some really good vision there from Clairvoyance on that Uther. But now Michael Udall getting very, very low, does blink away, but he's out of the fight for now. And this is very difficult, Simple, to try to get away from if you need to disengage. Illidan has gone down, but Hawkbrew also getting very, very low, is going to Dwarf Toss away for now. A good Pixie does from Oncabase, trying to help him get away, but isn't going to be able to do so. He will go down. Zeus and Anubarak both take each other out, and now it's 2 versus 3 here in the bottom, as Zeratul did fully go back. Fam trying to get away from Evan, but will go down. Evan's still alive there. No, Oncabase is going to get thrown up. Watch out! Nice work. Tyrael's able to take her out. Man, so many heroes down here, but it will be the PLEYZ who are able to secure the temple, at least for now.
Michael Udall actually did die early because he left very low but couldn't stay out of the fight, came back and died, but managed to respawn, as we are still early enough in the game that the kill timers are very small. And as we can see, both teams now coming in for a second round in this fight.
Yeah, having Brightwing is coming in so handy here because she didn't have to fly down. She was able to phase shift back in, which means they had a little bit of an advantage here. Now all 5 are back for the Kappa Wolves, and they're the ones holding it. They get all of the rest of the shots, and we're going to see the PLEYZ disengage as Zeus got very, very low engagement.
Very interesting, Gilly. We see a lot of fair trades here so far. Do you feel like you're seeing one team that has an edge yet?
No, both teams have taken out a fort. Both teams are very, very close in terms of experience. I think that both teams are doing a great job. It's anyone's game here. So we'll have to see both teams now grabbing their heroics. We've got Judgment, Metamorphosis, Wailing Arrow, Locust Swarm, and Undecided for Uther. So considering the Storm, which would be pretty cool. And then meanwhile, Phoenix, Void Prison, Avatar, Blink, Heal, and then same thing. Vala's still trying to figure it out. There's the Divine Shield from Uther.
I love Divine Shield. We have an engagement down here in the bottom. Fam getting very, very low as Metamorphosis falls down. Also, Silence Kael'thas will fall. Looks like we have a lot of health on the side of Kappa Wolves, but the momentum is in favor of Kappa Wolves, or excuse me, of the PLEYZ, Gilly.
Oncabase does get a good Blink Heal, was really looking to try to find some of her teammates, and did get that Blink Heal. So for now, they've only lost 2 people, but nobody down on the side of the PLEYZ. That's a pretty good experience advantage. but those Siege Giants, they basically, Kappa Wolves were able to get the PLEYZ to follow them just long enough to allow the Siege Giants to be able to take out that fort on bottom. So at least they do have the structure lead for now, and that's helping them because they did get a bit behind in experience because of those losses.
Looks like they will be looking for their bruisers now. Not committing actually at this point, but they'll be looking to grab those. Illidan, like you mentioned, also being very capable at mercenary camps. Uther helping him grab the Siege Giants on behalf of the PLEYZ. Both teams looking to get as much push in the lanes as they can as they're looking toward the next temple phase. We're going to see the middle and bottom temples spawning. That bottom temple usually being hotly contested. As you mentioned, the bottleneck getting in and out can be so devastating if not played correctly.
Vela did end up picking up her heroic ability. She got strafe, which means we'll be watching to see if they're able to stop that. It does a lot of damage, but can be interrupted. So Tyrael might be able to judgment in on top of that. There's also the potential for Sylvanas, even a stun from either Nubrak or Uther. Now both temples are up mid and bottom. For now, both teams are just posturing around this mid one. So Kappa Wolves are holding it for now, but we're going to see the PLEYZ try to engage in. There is the stun, judgmenting in on Zeratol, but it will be Kael'thas who will be the first kill as he was very far forward in that engagement. Now Michael Udall and Akaface are chasing down Lex Uther, but Pirate Rum comes right in with a great metamorphosis. And now Michael's very separated from the rest of his team. Akaface really wants to get a good blink heal out, does do so just in the nick of time, but Hawkfu will not be so lucky, will go down. Pirate Rum even jumping inside of the base to go after Big Impact. Will this be too far? Evan following with the Banshee, so aggressive here.
Wow, and managing to get back out. Everybody is safe on behalf of the PLEYZ. So that's 2 engagements now that have gone in favor of the PLEYZ. What do you think Kappa Wolves is doing that is making them fall victim to these engagements in a negative way?
Well, we're seeing them get the Void Prison, but they're not quite being able to capitalize on it. They need to be able to take somebody out while Void Prison holds the rest of them in stasis. So then they can be 5 versus 4, and then from there can just snowball the fight from there. But now their opponents are level 13. They've picked up that next tier of talents, even taking out the fort in mid. So they need to just try to soak a little bit. They're doing a great job with this temple in taking out some of the structures. It's going to help them get to 13. They're oh so close, and they do not want to get into an engagement. They're going to back off for now, but there's the judgment once again, and Big Impact does get shielded, but is getting very, very low. A great Phoenix trying to help zone, but Divine Shield goes down on the Illidan, keeping him in the fight, keeping him healthy, and there is the Metamorphosis. Kael'thas gets melted instantly. Everybody is very low on the Kappa Wolves side, as Big Impact will be the next to fall, and Akaface, Michael Udall, and Hawkfu once again have to just back off.
The timing of Wailing Arrow can be so important in engagements like that. Either if it's right at the beginning of a fight when your opponent is looking to engage and you mess up their plans for the order in which they want to engage, or like that where it was the last possible moment that Kappa Wolves could have turned to fight and instead got silenced. What happened, Gilly?
Tyrael was backing, and Hawkfu saw him, but it was just too late. Threw out a Stormbolt, but didn't quite stun him. They would have been able to pick up that kill there. Sorry, I just interjected there.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying I think that Wailing Arrow has played a huge part in that last team fight, so it'll be interesting to see how that continues to play out. As now we're seeing a little bit of marked momentum going in favor of the PLEYZ. They're level 15, so they're looking toward their level 16 talent, while Kappa Wolves have only just picked up 13.
Yeah, and something to note in the team comps as well is that we're seeing this very melee-heavy composition from the PLEYZ. They want to get in and just engage right on top of that back line, and that's making it very difficult for Kappa Wolves who they're doing more of the traditional thing, right, where you've got a couple of people forward, but then more people in the back just trying to play it safe. Now, Kappa Wolves want an engagement here. They know that their opponents are about to hit 16, so they really needed to grab an engagement if they're going to before they're down a talent tier once again. They didn't quite get that though, so now they're going to be content to sit back, try to push lanes as quickly as possible, and secure their level 16 talents because their opponents have it and looks like they might be starting to head toward boss, but that's what Kappa Wolves are.
Yeah, Kappa Wolves, I think, toying with the idea of trying to take the boss, as that would be the advantage they would need to get back on the board right now. But maybe noticing that their opponents might be looking for them there, and that's a very risky place to fight. So instead, they're going to look for them at their bruisers, but the PLEYZ are going to be able to take those bruisers and now they're going to be pushing the bottom or the top lane. Michael Udall trying to get a peek, but actually drawing their fire. He does take it away from the wall for a little while, so that's good. Managing to blink away. It looks like Kappa Wolves will be able to turn the PLEYZ away from the wall, even though a little bit of damage has been done. Now pinging the boss again, so Kappa Wolves really turning their attention toward that bottom lane.
Yeah, they know that they can't fight their opponents at this point without those level 16 talents. It'd be so risky because look, 4 blood for bloods as Tyrael and Anubarak both get it. Such a blood for blood heavy combo. All they would have needed is Rhaegar to make it the 5th. So Kappa Wolves instead are going to go after this boss, but look. This is exactly what the PLEYZ were expecting. They know that that's what's happening, and so they're heading down into here.
Oof.
The boss is so low. The Phoenix goes down a great Void Prison to try to deal with it, but there is a Wailing Arrow. Takes out Zeratul instantly, as it does Brightwing. Hawkfu is now down, and this boss is going to be stolen. The PLEYZ pick it up, killing even Kael'thas. Now it's only Big Impact left in a Metamorphosis. There's no way she's escaping between Metamorphosis and a Judgment. That is a team wipe, and they're going to forget about that temple. They are going to push with this boss as they know they can definitely get the keep.
Ooh, man, that boss is the most dangerous of any map. I've seen so many times where just a fraction of a second really turns the tides in a game because of that boss. Kappa Wolves, if they had started just a few moments earlier, could have had that boss in time and, you know, maybe gotten out alive. In this case, they did not get out alive, and they did not get the boss, so that was a huge misstep from them that is going to put them further behind in terms of momentum. PLEYZ are now going to fall back and do all sorts of mercenaries, and they also have the temple firing from the top, while Kappa Wolves have to deal with this boss in the bottom lane.
A really good disengage from the PLEYZ. They knew that they still had a almost full health golem pushing in on that keep, so they knew that they could disengage from there. They didn't need to play risky because they were going to be able to pick it up regardless, so really good game sense. Now they've got this temple, it's already almost down and is starting to work on this top keep. May be able to pick this up as well. It's going to come down to the last few shots, and it might stay alive here. We're going to see it just barely stays alive.
Oh, so what do Kappa Wolves need to do here, Gilly, in order to turn the odds back in their favor? They have managed to stay very grouped. In my opinion, like you were mentioning, the positioning is hyper important for Kappa Wolves because they only have Muradin who's doing all the tanking, whereas the other team has that dual tank as well as a tanky support that's allowing them to really sustain. So in my opinion, Kappa Wolves, when they do engage, which now might be a good time, need to really be aware of where their squishies are in relation to their tank. What do you think?
Well, now would be the time to engage if they're going to, and it looks like they want to. I would definitely agree with you that the positioning is super important. They only have that Muradin to try to zone, but now they do have some things that might be able to help. They got Critterize and the Sticky Flare for Brightwing, so they're going to be able to polymorph somebody, throw that Arcane Flare on top of it, and maybe be able to slow them so that they can't get away and then take somebody out from there. They really need to just grab a pick, and looks like it might be Yaocow here, who Hawkfu is trying to slow down as much as possible, but there is a Wailing Arrow, a beautiful engagement from the PLEYZ, instantly takes out the Brightwing. There is a Phoenix that is going to zone just a little bit as it looked like Illidan was low for a second, but a great Divine Shield there means that he can go right back in. Now Tyrael and Sylvanas are down. The Tyrael, oh my gosh, Tyrael's Archangel's Wrath helped secure 2 more kills, a double kill off of that Archangel's Wrath. Now I don't think that we'll see the PLEYZ try to win it right here. They only have 3 people up, and Big Impact and Michael Udall have the defensive advantage in that they can heal up. And so instead, we've got temples spawning, we've got level 20 talents. The players are saying, okay, fine, we'll just go and get these temples.
Really interesting that we saw the PLEYZ being held back by a Void Prison in that engagement to the point where 2 of them were out of the fight for a significant amount of time, and Kappa Wolves wasn't able to engage on that. So that's where you start asking yourself, is it because they're so far behind in experience? Is it because they don't have enough or the right kind of damage? What's keeping them from capitalizing on a Void Prison that is helping them so much?
I didn't really see where the Void Prison was. I was too in awe of the Wailing Arrow because it was so amazing how they like backed and backed and backed until they got the beautiful Wailing Arrow and then were able to capitalize on that. I think the problem is just that they're not being able to keep Illidan off of their squishy heroes. Like they're just having such a huge problem trying to deal with 4 people on top of them, Muradin can only stun so much. He's got a lot of stuns, but even he can only stun so much. We've got Brightwing who can polymorph, but that's only one polymorph. She doesn't even get rewind until 20, which if they get to 20, I think we'll definitely see that. Now, at least Kappa Wolves have been able to, for now, secure a temple, which is taking out some towers and structures. It's now working toward the keep, so they are getting some good experience. AmS, oh no, is not going to be able to back in time. Does get a good blink heal. Big Impact coming back to try to save him. But now it's going to be the battle of the blink heals, as he can only move so fast, but they will get away. They're still working toward those level 20s.
I think that was a smart move from Kappa Wolves. They knew how risky it was to be standing on that temple while they are still behind a talent tier, and they had a lot of scouts being available, and like you said, having someone close enough to Brightwing so that Brightwing could blink heal out. Very conservative, very smart, patient play there. I really respect that. Now they're closing in on level 20, which they definitely would like to be. That will give them more even footing for engagement now. Although they're sitting at only 1 fort to still 3 on behalf of their opponents, the PLEYZ.
Boss is up 2, and this is a very difficult situation to be in. Their last keep is already halfway down in health. Boss is up, so at any point they know their opponents could go back and try to take it, and meanwhile they're just trying to get to 20 still, which means they have to give up all sorts of objectives like these bruisers to try to just push back the lanes, keep them away from their core, as a pushed lane can provide an easy avenue in to get to the core and start throwing damage on it. So they are level 20 now. Finally, they've got to be breathing a sigh of relief. They've got two rewinds, but actually Brightwing not going for the rewind, going for Storm Shield instead, so just going to try to get some sustain that way. And Bolt of the Storm now for Vol and Kael'thas, so they will be able to hopefully disengage a little bit better from when the team jumps on top of them. But for now, it looks like the PLEYZ will leave the boss. We've got temples spawning, and this game should be coming to a close very, very soon.
Yeah, interesting that it looked like maybe even a bait. The PLEYZ were trying to get the Kappa Wolves to engage on that boss, left him half healthy and nice and tasty, but Kappa Wolves opting not to do that, instead looking for an engagement now that they are 20. Gilly, are they going to be able to take it?
Well, AmS is already very, very low. Does blink heal away in the nick of time, and there's the Void Prison. They're trying to take out either Yelkow or Pirate, but not really focusing either. And there it is. They got the Illidan. Now they've got the Tyrael. They've got to watch out for that Archangel's Wrath. They've got some people who are low, but so far it was just on Big Impact who does survive. That is the engagement they needed. They had to get that. They did it. Now they can be free to go and grab the temples. I think we should see them grab both of them, and they're going to be able to start taking down some structures. This is going to help them get back into this game.
Yeah, I think that this is a characteristic we see from Kappa Wolves where you can see them be behind, but be so calm and patient that sometimes they can get those engagements that they really need and then really dominate in the late game. The kill timers are so long right now that Tyrael and Illidan are going to be out of commission for quite some time. So like you said, both of those temples are now firing for Kappa Wolves, and the PLEYZ are going to have to be a little bit more careful as their structures are getting much lower now.
Ooh, this is a bad place to be in, but so far it looks like Kappa Wolves are getting out for the most part. I did want to note one thing too, is that once Kael'thas picks up that Ignite, where Flame Strike applies living bomb to heroes, that's where we really start to see his damage skyrocket. And so I think they were really trying to just get to that point, as well as the point where they would be able to blink away, using the Bolt of the Storm to get away whenever they did have all 4 of those heroes coming in and engaging on them. And so that went so much better, but they've got to keep doing that. They can't make any more mistakes, as they still don't have a lead, but Fam is going to go down. AmS phase shifted in, but will go down as well because it was just a little bit too late. And now this is rough. They've only got 3 people up for a full minute. We've got the full force of the PLEYZ coming in, doing a great job of capitalizing on those 2 picks. They're going to be heading straight for core.
Yeah, that's got to be tough for the Kappa Wolves because they were in a position where they could have held that off if they had everyone healthy, but they do not. They've only got 3 against 5, and I don't know how much they're going to be able to do. The Void Prison is going to go off. It's going to keep 3 people out of the way for the PLEYZ very briefly, but now we see the Metamorphosis. Even though Lex Luthor is going down, there's still so much damage being done to this core. It is going to take a lot for Big Impact and Hawkfu to be able to keep this off. Michael Udall also getting low, also having to deal with Siege Giants, which are throwing rocks at the core, and that will be game on behalf of the PLEYZ, Gilly.
Wow, just doing such a great job of catching 2 members out and then going straight for core from there. They might have said like, oh, we can get boss now, or oh, we can do this. And yeah, like boss, being able to push in with boss would have been great there, but they knew they didn't need to. It was late enough in the game that they were able to just go into the core. Some great split-second decisions there from the PLEYZ. That I really thought that maybe the Kappa Wolves were going to be able to turn around with that one team fight, but man, that getting caught out was just really unfortunate.
Well, the late game can become so volatile, right? If you get one player caught out at the wrong time, at the wrong moment, like we just saw, that can be the game. If that hadn't happened, not saying that Kappa Wolves would have won the game, but it certainly wouldn't have been so decisively in favor of PLEYZ at that very moment. So I really love that about Heroes. I love that once you get past 20, there can be those just game-turning moments that are so small but so meaningful. I think as we look over the rest of the games, there was a lot of evenness, teams trading very well, but I certainly would say that we saw the most convincing performance just slightly in favor of the PLEYZ there. What do you think, Gilly?
Yeah, they were able to secure an experience lead for long enough and big enough. I mean, at one point they were 16-13, and at that point they can feel very confident in taking all of the temples. They can go take all of the merc camps, and when you've got the temples like that, you can really press that advantage because they're straight up attacking structures, which when killed give you more experience. And so it was a very difficult mountain for the Kappa Wolves to overcome, and they did get there. They got to level 20, and then obviously it showed that that was a great point for them to go into a team fight, as they did win that one. But from there, it was the getting caught out. I think we'll probably not, we'll see them being a little more cautious of something like that in the next game for sure.
I think if Kappa Wolves had won this, we would have called it a comeback. I think that it definitely could have happened, but it wouldn't have been the predicted end to this match, because I think, like you were saying, the Kappa Wolves just made some choices throughout the game that were not quite the right ones and ended up getting caught out one time at the bottom temple, one time at the boss, you know, multiple places where they weren't where they wanted to be. So I think we will see them maybe kind of take a deep breath, reevaluate, and make some choices that might be a little more conservative next game, because they do know from experience, and we know from watching them, that they can last in a game very well if they need to. Now, that said, the PLEYZ know that about them as well, so maybe we will see an even more aggressive composition from them coming up in the second game to compensate for that. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it after that first game, Gilly.
I am as well. We'll have to see what they choose to do, but we are going to take a short break while we get the map bed set up. So grab some popcorn, because this could be it. This could be it for the Kappa Wolves. I'm anticipating a great game soon. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far, and we'll see you very soon.